Hello everybody, welcome to Raising Vibrations, and of course you're with Simon today, and we're going to be looking at another subscriber chart reading. And in today's video we're going to be exploring, of course, evolutionary astrology's way of looking at a chart and just basically getting a deep understanding of how to read the soul, And as always, when we do these chart readings, it's a great honor to have the person that's having the chart reading with us, in the sense that this is your chart and we're looking into your soul. Okay. And what a way to actually have that introduction take place, because we've got a Pluto 8th house here. Not only is Pluto in the 8th house, but it's also got Jupiter and Saturn over there. So a very deep, intense soul that's come here to transform its life, When you've got Pluto sitting in the 8th house of the astrology chart, you know that you're really dealing with somebody that's meeting life at the edge of everything. Pluto is so much about how we are meeting life and death in each moment. And when it's in the 8th house, the intensity, or the level of intensity, is risen quite a lot, So with Pluto in the 8th house, the soul's come here to understand the nature of its choices, to understand why those choices are made, and what are the consequences of those choices, but at a very deep level, Pluto in the 8th house also represents to us that this is a soul that wants to learn about all the different ways in which intimacy exists, How are we able to merge with people, and where do we feel vulnerable or safe? Where do we feel open and trusting versus closed and protective? And unfortunately, some of the dynamics that come along with Pluto in the 8th house is very strong memories of prior lifetimes in which there has been, loss, abandonment, or betrayal, and what that has meant for the soul, learning how to be very reserved in experiences, learning how to process some of the feelings of where there has been loss. And, with loss comes a lot of emotional work around grief and sadness and anger. So very deep emotions is a very big part of what the soul is working through in this lifetime, Now you've got Jupiter there and Saturn. Now Jupiter and Saturn are in a new phase conjunction to each other, meaning that Saturn is the slowest moving planet, and of course Jupiter is the faster, and you can see that Saturn is literally a couple of minutes behind Jupiter. So this is an entirely new cycle that is so fresh, the soul doesn't even know exactly what it's about. It just knows that it must act upon the evolutionary impulse of that energy frequency, okay? And you can see here that the South Node sits on the ascendant in Aquarius at 12 degrees. So we know that this is a soul in prior lifetimes that has had to actually let go and detach and surrender the prior life dynamics that were once the evolutionary truth that the soul is subscribed to, What is the current cultural definitions, Saturn, and the belief systems and cosmologies that each society, Saturn, used as its truth, Jupiter, okay? And with the South Node being in Aquarius, this is a soul which have had to have actually probably let go of, surrendered, had to separate from a specific cosmology or a truth or the structure of identity, and now need to go and find a completely new way. Now, what's interesting about this is that if you have a look, those planets are in Libra, right? Pluto's in Libra, Jupiter's in Libra, Saturn's in Libra, and so this has also got to do with the way in which the soul related to these cosmologies and these truths and these laws before. This is a cultural change, a completely new one. And at the core of it, remember that Pluto is sitting at the core of everything here. So it's not only just a change within circumstances, it's a change within one's own structure and the framework that each, or should I say the context of what the soul was living through, is actually being transmuted in this lifetime. So it's a really big deal. And you can see Uranus is sitting in the 9th house in Scorpio, so you can see there's an extra emphasis, the planetary ruler of the South Node being Aquarius, or should I say Uranus, in the 9th house Scorpio. So we can immediately see here that there's a lot of sudden changes to one's own personal truth or faith that has occurred in this lifetime. And this is an ongoing sort of way of being in which a new direction is being emerged. And you can see the repeating themes in the chart. You can see that Neptune sits in the 10th house, so the soul is, dissolving and decaying the context of what the truth is about, right? Neptune in the 10th. Right? This is a spiritual lingering of surrender ultimately to one's own life path. And then with Venus sitting in the 10th house there in Sag, it says one's own inner truth, the values, the context of what it means to be you, and the values and the identity that is subscribed to that cosmology or that truth is also going through two phases. One of complete loss of meaning, which would have led to the separation, which would have led to the surrender of those energies. And then what's the word I can use here? A re-emergence of something that has meaning. What is the purpose? What is the destiny? Why am I here? Is the questions that would show up with this type of chart. And this is about integration as well. You can see here with the Neptune and the Venus, it's having to integrate one's own values and the values of the new structure, of the new society, of the new community. What does that mean to integrate into a completely new community where their laws and regulations and community, where friends have friends and you might feel isolated in that area? It's like, will you be accepted? With that Chiron squaring the nodes, in the 3rd house is, could I be accepted for what I know? Is my language available enough to make connection? Is my self-worth? Can my self-worth, what can I contribute to the situation, valuable to this new community, to this new ecosystem? So these are a lot of really, really deep internal energies that are showing up in the chart over here, in which the soul is learning to not only surrender, but also come into its own. You can see it with Mars in the 12th house in Aquarius. There's also a consistent need to objectify and heal whatever separation had actually taken place in the prior lifetimes or this one. The healing is because of the Neptune, or because of the Mars being in the 12th house, but the healing specifically to clearing the fog, to trying to make resolution, to complete whatever unhappy endings would have taken place with the abandonment. It's so easy with Pluto in the 10th house to have, or should I say Pluto in the 8th house, to have abandonment pain. So with Mars in the 12th, and then in Aquarius says there must be a need to objectify, to initiate resolution around the trauma, a resolution around the separation, and to heal the complexes and dynamics that would have arisen as the soul was coming to recognition and realization of its own truth, and to heal its own individuality. Again, when we come to the context of a society itself, all the societies have, again, as I said, a specific rules, a set of rules, a set of truths. And within that ecosystem, within that cosmology, there is a need for integration. But again, if your levels of competence are not in alignment with the society, or if you don't have the specific way in which the boundaries and the laws and the ways of being, because when you're foreign in a place, you have to learn everything about the place that you're living within, right? So that's where the integration comes in. So part of that Mars in the 12th house is also healing their own individuality and saying, well, this was my place. This is where I'm right now. There's clearly a difference between the two. How do I find integration? How do I find what I believed in as the past? What is my early life conditioning like in relationship to the new societal structure that I'm existing within, and how am I successful in that process? So the empowerment here is really to recognize that Jupiter and Saturn are revealing a completely new evolutionary cycle around one's own integration into society and the cosmology that it comes with. Okay. All right, my friends. Again, as always, I hope that you got a lot out of this video. And until the next one, have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye-bye.